Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. This video is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University and their online Bachelor of Arts degree in Graphic Design and Media Arts. More on that later. I'm well on record as saying that CIG needs to add resources so that we can evaluate markets and plan trade routes in-game. Until then, though, we have to rely on crowdsourced sites by players, of which there are two kept up to date with 3.19, SC-Trade.tools and Uexcorp.space. In fact, if your playstyle patterns is more on the solo trader, but you want to feel more worthwhile to the rest of the player base, volunteering to be a contributor on either of these sites is a way to do that. In this video, I'm going to look at the feature set of each of these sites. And to keep this of manageable length, I'm going to limit it to just the features for traders, leaving the features for miners and salvagers for another day. I'll first start with some general design critiques before getting into the feature lists wherever appropriate, showing the comparable screens of both sites, one after the other. To start with SC-Trade.tools, it has a nice blue-gray palette. The three colored bars at the top aren't exactly complementary to it, and they are not economical with valuable top-of-page space, while the white on blue in particular does not have good text contrast, and the marquee text effect is long deprecated. All three of them should be consolidated into a single, small slider widget. Then there are too many features that require too much scrolling to get to it. It's a very long page. People are arriving at this site with one of three goals: trading, mining, and salvaging. So there should be three main columns at the top: trading, mining, and salvaging. Each column should have one picture, a brief description of the whole area, and then a set of wide buttons with a description of each feature. For example, trade routes, find the best buyers, match cargo to route, commodity data, and location information. The big wall of text items at the bottom of the page, sponsors, about, and FAQ, should be moved to separate pages and added to the header menu. Moving over to UEX, the first problem that is obvious is a lack of contrast. In light mode, too much of the text is too light for good readability. In dark mode, most of the text is too dark for readability. The changing modes is obviously being done through a cascading style sheet feature, so there should be no trouble making the text color change along with the background. But while SC-Trade.tools spent too much space on the homepage describing the site contents, UEX has no homepage at all. You're just dropped here on this form, which has no title, no explanation of its purpose, and no instructions. Is this a data entry form or a reporting form? Which forms are essential to the form's unknown purpose? So just following the presumption that if you fill out forms, you do it from top to bottom, it starts with these buttons with 4-character acronyms. Fortunately, they have help text when hovering. Otherwise, I would likely have never guessed that AGRI was agricium, while ACSU was agricultural supplies. So even though the commodity isn't always the first data, let's pick agricium, which fills in the data here, but nothing else changes. But it does guide us to the next thing it needs to know is the ship, which thankfully is a well-organized tier list. I pick a ship and more data fills in, including a nice historical price graph, but no information about what route would actually get me that. Presuming the trade points are next in each of these, I give a properly filled in list, and choosing them gets a list of other prices and items. But note that changing a different commodity here does not change anything else, and there's no provision for a mixed load. Then we get to the Add to List button, and here we get to the actual purpose of this form: to build a list of our most favorite routes, or rather route legs. If I am wanting to plan a return route or a multi-leg route, I need to do this with each leg, and it's unclear if the pricing in this list will adjust if current prices are different than now. So let's look at some of the other left tabs on UEX. The Ships tab is a basic spreadsheet, which nicely includes a download to CSV file button for doing our own analysis. Locations brings up a list of buy and sell at a particular location. Choosing the location, though, apparently relies on these 5-character acronyms, which also aren't obvious and could really use the kind of well-presented indented list that we first saw a few moments ago on the ship list. SC-Trade.tools has a nearly identical feature in its shops. However, the visual presentation uses the selection list as the title of the page, which isn't as attractive and could use some sort of indenting, or perhaps ideally a tiered list of selections. Select the system, then select the planet, and then select the moon, and then select the location. That may be more selections, but each would present a small, manageable list. The Commodities tab for UEX sees the return of the Commodities button, and they work okay, but the page overall suffers from the lack of text contrast, and the tables are not able to be sorted. It would be nice if you could sort by planet, price, or supply, but that's not possible. The comparable SC-Trade.tools page has the same selection box as the page title problem, and that is somewhat less easy for a commodity further down the list. The red text could also use to have a little bit more contrast, perhaps by making it closer to a pink. The Prices tab on Uex is a data table, and again, the download feature may be handy if you want to do your own data analysis. There is no comparable page in SC-Trade.tools. The shipping page in Uex is a feature that only they have and is meant to have a personal calculator for how much to charge others to ship their goods for them. However, it needs a lot more integration. For example, putting the start and end does not calculate either the time nor the distance, nor does putting in the commodity to be transported does not change anything because there is no place to put in the commodity being transported, which makes a presumption about how this is all being done. Because unless we share a last name, my philosophy is that money changes hands when crates change hands. Too much is out of my control after that. So this calculator really should be what is the fair price for this commodity out here in space, considering that I still have to ship it someplace else to sell it. So this is an interesting idea, but not all that usable in its current state. The price search feature essentially puts two price searches on the same page. The intent is evidently that one would be price for buying and the other would be for selling, but the system relies on you to select, for example, agricium for both lists. And then again, the lists do not sort. I'm guessing that this may mostly get used as an easier way to play around for potential routes to then go back to that first tab and add them to your list. The Routes tab is a listing of the most popular routes and that users have reported on, how long they have taken on average, but it says nothing about how profitable these routes were or how much was traded. At best, again, it is sort of an ideal list for adding to the first page. Now we get to the features that SC-Trade.tools shines at, and that is their ability to automatically crunch this information and create a route for you. The first of these is called Trade Routes. You pick a ship, and honestly, this could use either an indented list or a separate manufacturer models list that are auto-populated, and then how much money you are willing to spend at the front. But the real power is found in these drop-downs. Under Miscellaneous is whether to pick based on total profit or profit per minute, and then something that only Trade.tools does, multiple stops. And then you can select different types of commodities and specific commodities. These types of commodities are very useful because it allows you to, for example, exclude vices or do just vices. And a similar list will have you, for example, avoiding Lagrange points. And this is a nice option for avoiding places without nav markers. Then, when the options are right, click Submit. And here we get a whole list of possibilities. Note that even though we allowed up to 5 legs, all these are single-leg trips because they were the best per minute. Also note that it warns you when the low supply locations are flagged with a yellow border. But the flaw here, of course, is that there's no consideration is where I am already. To tell me in the grand abstract of the whole of the Stanton system what the best route is kind of academic, since I am at one specific spot. To help with that, SC-Trade.tools has the en route calculator, which adds origin and destination selections. The limit here is I can't make them the same to calculate a round trip. If I set them the same, I get no results. But if I specify a different start, and then bang, the optimized 5-step or less trade route. Now, a frustrating limit on this is that it obviously had to calculate hundreds of possibilities to get to the best one, but I don't get a chance to review the second best or third best if there's something about this one that doesn't strike me as quite right. I'd love to have a next and previous buttons to step through the possibilities. And another great addition to this would be once I found the ones I'm going to embark on, a save feature with multiple slots like save 1, save 2, etc., and then the ability to recall any of the saved routes to a new browser tab or window. A nice feature in this screen is that if I get to the last location, say, and the Laranite isn't there, I can see the alternate commodities that I could buy there instead. The third item is the best buyer, which presumes that you already have a ship full of something and need to get someplace to sell it. But unfortunately, there's no provision for mixed cargo. Your ship can only have one type of contents. And because the system, again, does not know where you are, there is no way for it to base the suggestions on travel time to sell it. So on an overall basis, both Uex and SC-Trade.tools have strengths, and neither are as complete as one would want. Both have frustrating limitations and things which seem frankly like oversights. Uex's greatest strength is a good supply of user-generated data, histograms, and being able to save and remember a personal list of routes. SC-Trade.tools excels at analyzing the data and making recommendations, including multi-stop routes, which Uex has no concept of at all. Now, looking at these sites, one takeaway that I hope you're getting is how making good interactive web applications is a combination of skills. There are visual graphic design elements like colors, typography, and organization, and there's the kind of human factors process analysis of who's using the site, what they're using it for, what the decision process is, and the constraints that it has, and how you can support that process with an app. That is why my sponsor for this video, the online graphics design degree at Southern New Hampshire University, has two specialization options, one for user experience design and one for web design, because these are specialized design skills and employers want demonstrable skills in each specific one. SNHU has over 90 years of experience in career-focused professional degrees as a not-for-profit regionally accredited school. Their online programs have radically affordable cost per unit among online degrees. If being able to make great-looking and great-functioning online applications feels like a direction that you would like to take, or really any other path where a degree would open the doors that are closed to you, go to snhu.edu/raiseguide and fill out the form, and you can talk with a real person who will help you through all the questions that you should ask, and there's a great many for such a big move as pursuing a degree. Registration is open until June 24th for a new semester starting June 26th, so the timing is excellent if this is something you might be curious about. That's snhu.edu/raiseguide. Now for an update on our giveaways. First, we have the 10,000, now 12,000 subscribers thank you giveaway for the LTI Hull C, the colossal cargo container carrying craft to be given away when the sea goes live. Now on the roadmap for 3.20, and the big IAE annual ship giveaway for the winner's choice of the Galaxy Complete, the massive module mining moving medical machine, or the brand new big box bargain bazaar known as the Merchantman. One entry per video for both giveaways. Just be a member and be entered automatically. Otherwise, be a subscriber and comment, somehow including the secret word. And the secret word for this video is whichever of the two websites you think is your favorite. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Raise Guide.